Hi everyone, so today I wanted to talk to you about false memory OCD. So false memory OCD is a type of OCD thought where you are doubting what if something bad happened in the past. And most of the time this has to do with harm or with being inappropriate with other people in some sort of way. Those are kind of the topics that I hear about most often. And the person is not sure, the person tries to figure it out. The more they try to figure it out, the worse the thoughts become, and the person feels like they have to figure it out even more, and it just becomes a snowball effect where the more they try to figure out what actually happened, the more anxiety they get, and the more they feel like something is wrong. All of these are already signs that you have OCD. So this is not a real situation, because in the real situation, if you for real would have done something wrong, you would never question it as being part of OCD. Even if right now you think back to an event where, we're all human, we've done things wrong from time to time, right? If you think back to something that you have done in the past that you now regret, you never doubt it as possibly being OCD. You know exactly what happened, and it's not a doubt in your mind. You might not remember little details about it, but you generally know what happened and you don't doubt it as possibly being OCD. With this situation, however, you're very much doubting, is this real? Is this not? Let me try to figure it out. Let me try to go over it. So the more you figure it out, the deeper into this thought you will get. There's no way to get out of this by trying to figure it out. It simply won't happen. So the only way to beat this, and the only way to overcome this specific thought and then OCD in general, is to let the thought be and live parallel to it. So the thought is coming in your mind 24 hours a day. You have unanswered questions, all of that, but you're saying, okay, that thought is there, but I am going to live my life over here. So your mind can bring the thought, take the thought away over and over again, wants you to kind of react to it, wants you to question it. All of this is happening, but you're not actively engaging the thought. So no matter what it's doing, you're going on with your day, you're going on with your regular normal life, no matter what kind of thoughts your mind throws at you. And the more you do this, the more your mind will see that this thought is not scary to you, and it takes that fear out. By fear I mean anxiety, because it reduces the anxiety and it takes the fear away, right? The more it does it, the more you will start to see logically that this is a false memory OCD thought. Because right now your mind is very much clouded with anxiety and with fear. And through those feelings, you can't see logic. The logic is still there, but it's just clouded by all the feelings of fear and anxiety and what if and all of that, that you can't logically think how everybody else is, who you probably told to about the story, is saying, well, this would never happen. Like, how could this even happen, right? So everybody else can see it because they're looking at it from a logical, non-OCD perspective. You're looking at it very much from an OCD perspective through the lens of the feelings. And the more you do this, the more real it seems to you. So as you start to pull away and live parallel to this, you will start to feel that, oh no, this isn't true, that this didn't happen. As the thought and the fear and all of that fades away. So you will still get that reassurance in the end that nothing happened. But you will not get this through actively seeking reassurance and trying to figure out. You get this by refusing to pay attention, and then the logic will start to come itself. So you don't need to do anything. You're doing too much by keeping the thought alive, keeping it going. So as you pull back, and this is where, how they talk about OCD and mindfulness, right? That you start to pull back and view the thought from a third person perspective. Also understanding, why are you having this thought in the first place? Because with any OCD thought, usually there's stress involved. Why was it and all of a sudden now you're getting the thought? Are you being stressed? Are you not sleeping enough? Are you having too much coffee? Are you overworked? Are you having some sort of a life change? All of these things can bring on OCD very strongly. So you have to kind of think of, okay, where is these thoughts coming from? Or maybe you were susceptible to OCD for a long time and you are in a situation where you have a lot of time to think, because that can bring on OCD as well, where you are free to have the time to go over the thoughts over and over again. But the bottom line is these thoughts are staying there because you're keeping them alive. And all of these things that are common with false memory OCD, such as feeling like it was real, having vivid images, having something that feels like a memory, all of these things, they're typical trends of false memory OCD. Most people who have false memory OCD get vivid images. It kind of depends on the type of OCD they have, the type of false memory, right? But a lot of them get images. Very common. Everybody pretty much who has OCD says it feels very real. All of these things are nothing to be scared of. It feels scary, but you have to pull back and always say, you know what? This feels real for me and about 1 million other people in the world who are experiencing the exact same thing. So instead of going from thought to thought of, okay, I'm going to solve this thought, and I'm going to move on to the next thought, and I'm going to move on to the next thought, and keeping going like this from thought to thought, saying, you know what? Anything to do with my theme, I'm not going to react to. And that way, you are killing it at the root. You're not trying to, kill it branch by branch, and this tree, while you're cutting off one branch, is growing a new one on the other side. So instead of doing it that way, you just cut it off at the root, and that's it. And then you start to heal, and that's how the recovery process happens. So, and then also when you start to recover from false memory OCD, if you start to focus on choosing not to react to the thoughts, no matter what it is, if it has to do with false memory, if it has to do with something from the past, whatever, I'm not reacting. You start to go like that, and sometimes people ask me, well, I started to do the right thing, but I'm not getting the results. Well, yeah, you're not getting the results, instantly, because you've been doing the wrong thing for a long time, right? So there's a lot of repetition that needs to happen for your mind to drop that mental connection between something about this type of false memory and fear. That connection to the fear has to drop, and it will only drop if you repeatedly show your mind that here I'm exposed to the feared situation, I'm not reacting, right? So, and over and over and over again. So every time you're having a false memory OCD thought, that's exposure. So the thought itself is the exposure, and you need to prevent the response of fear. If you reacted with fear for a few minutes, then pull back and say, okay, you know what? I reacted for a few minutes. I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm done. I'm done playing the game. So the faster and the more you can pull yourself back, the better the reaction, the faster you'll recover. And just keeping going like this until you fully recover, until your mind gets enough repetitions that it says, okay, there's no need for that. This process is similar to any other discipline, such as if a person is trying to lose weight. They're not going to lose it all at once. They're going to lose it pound by pound by pound, right? Or if a person is trying to stop smoking. Stopping smoking is a little bit different, I guess, but most of the time people wean themselves off. This is the same type of thing where slowly you're cutting it down until you're fully done with this. And the brain doesn't view it as a stimuli. And this will happen where you will be, exposed to something that before would trigger you and now no longer triggers you because the brain lost that mental connection between the two things. So, but it's just, don't be scared because it feels like a memory, because it feels real, because it gives you images, because it gives you so-called proof, but not really proof. You're doubting it as OCD. It's OCD, not playing the game of figuring it out. That's the worst thing you can do. And the more you're trying to figure it out, the deeper in you're going, meaning that even if by some chance you do end up solving the thoughts, because some thoughts are just naturally easier to solve than others, right? So if your thought of the day happens to be one that you can solve, it's just going to move on to the next one. And what do you really care if it's this thought or that thought if they're bringing you the same level of anxiety? So if the anxiety is just as bad, you don't really care which one of the thoughts you're thinking about, which one is bothering you in the moment, right? So not playing the game of going from thought to thought, because if you do play the game, you can go like this for years and years. But if you say, you know what, forget it, I'm not doing this, you're not going to have this anymore, because the brain is only holding on to this thought and is only bringing up this thought over and over and over again, because over and over again you're paying attention. You stop paying attention, it will stop bringing it up. Again, not instantly, but it will learn that it's no longer relevant to you, and over time will stop doing it. So I hope this video helps. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please subscribe. You can also visit youhaveocd.com. There's a private recovery program there with me. There's ebooks, there's articles, there's lots of information to help you recover. So please check that out. And I'll see you in the next video.